The tape that shows you dying at 3:17 a.m. It showed up 3 days ago. Just a plain mailer, no return address, my name handwritten on the front. Inside was this, a standard, black, VHS tape. The only thing that stood out was a single scorched thumbprint pressed into the blank white label. I figured it was a prank, or some weird marketing thing. I popped it in my old VCR, but nothing. It wouldn't play. It wouldn't even eject. It just sat there, this dead piece of plastic inside a machine that's been dying for 20 years, until last night. At exactly 3:17 in the morning, the TV clicked on by itself, and it showed me how I'm going to die. Section 1. An unsettling delivery. The story I just told you isn't a one-off. It's a ghost story that's been whispered in the dark corners of the internet for years. It's the legend of a piece of media so twisted, it doesn't just show you a scary movie, it shows you your own final moments. Now, before we go any further, I want to be crystal clear. This is a work of modern folklore. As compelling as it is, there is zero credible evidence that a tape like this actually exists. It's a story that belongs to a long tradition of tales about cursed media, heavily inspired by things like the iconic Japanese horror film Ringu. But what makes a legend stick? The details. And this one always starts the same way. An anonymous delivery. A small padded envelope appears out of nowhere. No postage, no sender. Inside is that single unmarked VHS tape. And every single version of the story mentions the one chillingly consistent detail. A scorched thumbprint, burned right into the label, as if it was handled by someone with impossibly hot hands. Pinpointing where this story came from is tough, which is exactly what makes it such a great myth. It feels like it just appeared. The most common origin story, though, points to a thrift store in Omaha, Nebraska, back in 1997. The tale goes that a collector of obscure horror movies found the tape in a dusty bin of old home videos. No one knew who donated it. And, in a classic scary story twist, the thrift store itself supposedly vanished soon after, the lot left empty and overgrown. Of course, there's no record of this, but it's the kind of detail that makes the story so much creepier. It isolates the tape from any real origin, making it feel less like a man-made object and more like something that crawled out of a nightmare. Section 2. The 3:17 a.m. ritual. Here's where the story gets really good, where it moves from just being a creepy object to a full-blown, rule-based nightmare. You see, you can't just watch the tape whenever you want. If you put it in a VCR, it's a brick. The play button does nothing. Fast forward, rewind, eject. Forget it. The tape holds your machine, and you, hostage, because it's waiting. The folklore says the tape will only play under one very specific condition, at 3:17 a.m., right on the dot. At that minute, any TV connected to the VCR will flicker on, bathing the room in that eerie blue glow of a blank screen before the static hits. Now most people know 3 a.m. as the witching hour, a time when the veil between our world and the next is supposedly at its thinnest. But the bizarre specificity of 3:17 a.m., not 3:00, not 3:15, adds this layer of unnerving intelligence to the whole thing. It feels deliberate. It feels designed. The tape only ever plays once. After its short, horrifying show is over, it reportedly goes dormant forever. The VCR will spit it out like nothing ever happened. People in these stories have apparently tried everything to destroy it, burning it, smashing it, taking magnets to it. But just like the legend that inspired the movie, The Ring, the tape always survives, completely untouched. This invincibility makes it feel less like a cursed object and more like a persistent, malevolent thing with a life of its own. Section 3. A personalized prophecy. The real terror of this legend isn't the tape itself, it's what it shows you. Unlike the abstract, grainy nightmares of Ringu, this vision is deeply, horribly personal. According to the legend, every person who watches it sees a unique, real-time vision of their own death. The footage is described as grainy and distorted, playing on that unsettling nostalgia we have for old analog tech. The viewer is said to be watching themselves, but from a third-person perspective. as if they're a ghost in their own room. They see themselves sitting right where they are, in the same clothes, with the very same look of confusion and fear on their face as they stare into the screen. And then, the tape shows what happens next. The vision is never some big, monstrous attack. It's always something mundane, accidental, and terrifyingly plausible. One version of the story tells of a man who saw himself get up, walk to the bathroom, slip on a wet floor, and fatally hit his head on the bathtub. Another describes a woman who watched herself fall asleep on the couch, only for a faulty lamp next to her to short-circuit and spark a fire. The entire vision is silent, except for a low, droning hum, and what some describe as distorted whispers that seem to hang in the air long after the TV goes black. And here's the kicker. The prophecy is always right. Within a few days, the viewer dies in the exact trivial way they were shown. The man in the story, he supposedly died the very next morning slipping in his shower. The woman, she died 2 days later in a house fire started by that exact lamp. The curse isn't just a vision, it's a script for your final moments. Section 4. A ghost in the machine. For years, this was just a ghost story tied to a dead format. But like all good folklore, it evolved. Sometime around 2005, a new chapter started on sketchy internet forums. Someone claimed they'd managed to digitize their copy of the tape before they watched it. They uploaded a single file, 317.avi, and set it loose. This part of the legend speaks directly to our modern fears about how fast information can spread. Suddenly, the curse wasn't tied to a physical thing anymore. It had become a virus. People who supposedly downloaded and watched the file reported the same experience. At 3:17 a.m. their time, the video would launch itself and show them their own personal end. This digital evolution added a new psychological layer to the horror. Some analyses of the legend, the fictional analyses to be clear, theorize that the tape acts as a form of lethal suggestion. It's a concept known as psychogenic or psychosomatic death, where a powerful emotional shock, like extreme fear, can actually cause the body to shut down. The idea is that by showing someone a plausible, everyday death, the tape plants a seed of fatal obsession. The viewer becomes so consumed by the fear of what they saw that they subconsciously make it happen, a self-fulfilling prophecy powered by pure terror. It's a theory that taps into our real understanding of how fear can make us clumsy, panicked, and prone to the very accidents we're trying to avoid. Section 5. The Enduring Legacy. The story of the 3:17 a.m. tape is a perfect storm of old-world superstition and modern anxiety. It blends that ancient fear of an unavoidable fate with the unsettling nature of outdated technology. And like all the best urban legends, it has no single author. It lives and breathes in the telling and retelling, with every person adding their own little terrifying detail. That scorched thumbprint suggests a victim, or maybe a creator, burned by their own work. The bizarrely specific time of 3:17 a.m. gives it a disturbing feel of authenticity that the generic witching hour just can't match. And its jump from a physical tape to a digital file shows that our deepest fears aren't about any single technology. They'll happily follow us to whatever new medium we invent. While there are, of course, no documented cases of this tape ever existing, the story survives because it feels like it could be real. It preys on our most basic human fears, the loss of control, the sheer randomness of death, and the chilling idea that some doors, once you open them, can never be closed again. It's the kind of story that makes you glance at that old box of electronics in your garage and wonder what memories, or what warnings, are just waiting for the right moment to press play. The scariest stories are the ones that feel like they could happen to anyone. If you want to explore more legends that walk that thin line between folklore and reality, make sure you subscribe for more dives into the unexplained.